So thank you very much for the invitation to come. I just want to briefly just say again, thanks to Chad and Andrew, Tim, Nancy, who all serve on our board together. And I think that the work of this group is critically important to the mission of education today, and something that we value tremendously. I want to just put some context to how this fits into the overall strategy of our association and what our interests are. So one of the things I want to point out is this is sort of one of the three legs on our stool. One of those clearly is how we build relationships between superintendents and unions. The second of those is how we build relationships between school superintendents and their school committee. And the third is how we build relationships between our superintendents and their administrative team. From our standpoint, those are the critical stakeholders in terms of getting anything accomplished in the school system. That's not to say that there are other and valuable stakeholders. Parents, kids, we all know, but for those three, it's critically important. And so several years ago, we initiated three different programs, three different initiatives. One is what we call the new superintendent induction program. This is a program that brings in any new superintendent and provides them with a particular 3-year program that allows them some instructional time looking at the whole entry process, strategic planning process, and how they build relationships with those three stakeholders. And that's a critically important thing that we work on. Secondly, we have a program which stems from that, which is what we call the Governance Project. And the Governance Project is for many of those new superintendents to actually build a program where we take a retired superintendent and, if I could say, a retired school committee member, make them teams who actually go into school districts and work with school committees and superintendents on how to build that relationship and how to focus on the work. Because as we all know, the work is significantly complex and obviously too much. And the third part of that is what we do here today. And so the whole notion of how this initiative takes place is a critically important piece of that work. And so those are the things that we value, and those are the things that we have taken a part of initiating and supporting, and will continue to do so. Now, what drives me as the executive director of the association around those issues, there are really two significant points. One is we have 275 superintendents in the Commonwealth, and we're turning over about 60 to 65 superintendents every year. That's a significant percentage. If you look back when I became a superintendent, at that time we would have maybe 100, 150 applicants. You probably had 7 or 8 superintendencies turning over in the state. Today, you're lucky if you get 20, 25 applicants. You're lucky if you can find the quality of applicants that you're looking for. And moreover, we have people coming into the profession and into the job from all different aspects of the work. And so we are in a very different climate today. If you look at that and overlay that to what we heard Patrick Dolan talk about when we looked at the conference last November, what's changed significantly in the work that we do is so much of it is being laid out for us. We have many state and federal initiatives, much driven by the federal government, to the states and down to us. So the second part of my concern is we're letting things happen to us too much. We are in the reactive mode, not in the proactive mode. We're not driving the agenda. We are reacting to the agenda. And so I know that with Tim, with Paul, with Glenn Kuchar and the School Committee Association, we meet on a monthly basis. And we spend a lot of time talking about these issues. And we're clearly on a course of trying to say that if we don't work together, and if we don't do that work in a meaningful way that draws in the key stakeholders, that has us sort of driving the agenda, the fire hose from which we're drinking today is only going to get larger. And so what we need to recognize is that so much of what's happening to us, we need to do a better job of being strategic about how we control that agenda. And that's the second part of what drives me around this issue. I get really tired of listening to all the people who are the experts who've never been in a classroom, who've never been in a school building, and who think that they know everything there is about driving the agenda. Now, I can say that, but at the same time, I'm also reflecting back and I'm saying, well, I understand why they're driving the agenda, because in some ways, we're screwing it up. We're not working together as we need to work together to make the agenda work for us. And I think that that's something that, you know, we're spending a lot of time in talking about. Now, I will say there are two initiatives this year that we are working on together. One is something that is looking at the whole issue of mandates. So we have 4 bills that are going to be coming up on June 27th at the State House, all of which relate to the number of regulation, the amount of mandates, the amount of requirements, and the extent to which those things get regulated in large numbers. Do you realize that we have 850 pages of educator evaluation documents that we're supposed to implement? Or that there are 450 different PDF and Word documents around PARC on the website? I mean, these are the kinds of things that we do have an ability to influence, and that we need to work more closely together to accomplish that. But they're picking us up one at a time in terms of getting the agenda accomplished. So what I'm just basically saying to you is that part of what drives me is the complicated work that we do today. The number of initiatives that are being driven in our direction that we've really not had a lot of control in managing. And that in as many ways, the agenda that's being built by whether it's business or legislature or other interest groups is one where they sort of watch us in our inability to sort of capture and sort of drive the agenda and then sort of take it over instead of our being in that position. So that's what drives me, and what drives me to really want to support this project is the fact that, number one, that we have all of you who are committed to doing the work. So I want to just say thank you to all of those districts who voluntarily took this on and are going to try to work at some of this, because I think in many ways we have a really good cross-section of districts sitting in this room. I mean, there are no ideal marriages here. I mean, we've got like any relationship, we have conflict. We have differences of opinion. But, and I would say to you, some of the differences of opinion are caused by the external forces. But we do have those challenges that we face. But we must, for the good of the public education system, and more importantly, for the agenda that we're driving in terms of student achievement, we must continue to work together to find a way to better communicate and work with those issues. So I'll stop there, and I want to just thank Tim, the MTA, AFT Massachusetts, and all the partners for making this work viable and hopefully a good outcome. Thanks.